Do you ever think to yourself, why does everything feel so hard? Building a business that truly works for you isn't just about strategy, it's about alignment, mindset, and systems. Now, in this episode, I'm joined by business mentor Miriam Castilla to explore why getting these three elements right can transform the way that you work. We talk about what alignment really means in business, how your approach to mindset might be actually holding you back, and why having the right systems in place can create both financial stability and more freedom for you. Take a listen as Miriam explains how to build a business that feels easier, more sustainable, and actually joyful. Welcome to the Powerful Content Podcast, your go-to source for content creation, strategy, and business inspiration. I'm your host, Mel Daniels, content strategist, coach, and speaker, empowering women across the globe to grow their business with powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. So, if you're ready to create standout content that gets you noticed and remembered, or build an aligned audience who love you and are ready to buy from you, you're in the right place. I believe that content has the power to connect us all. It's up to you how you use it. Listen in for genuine and insightful chats with guests, as well as practical tools and strategies from me. It's so lovely to have you here. Let's dive into the show. I acknowledge the Wongal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the country that I am recording from today. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waters. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nation people listening today. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 161 of the Powerful Content Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I say us because I have with me business mentor Miriam Castilla. Welcome to the show, Miriam.
Hello, Mel. I'm so excited to be here.
I cannot wait for this conversation because you have such an amazing perspective on what we're going to talk about today, and that is money and mindset and alignment and everything that goes with that. So I've been actually following you for a little while, Miriam, and I really, really love your down-to-earth approach to money and mindset and everything in between that. So I'd really love to know, what is it about these things? What is it about money, about mindset and alignment that you love so much that it's led you to want to teach and coach others about it as well?
Okay, great question. Well, I'm really passionate about small business and particularly women in business, because I think small women in small business have the ability to change the world, because it
Oh,
changes
yes.
our communities, it changes the way we do things. It kind of redistributes that hierarchy of wealth, and it can offer incredible service in a really caring and tangible way, and offer mothers the opportunity to actually craft a life around their families without feeling like they've got to give up who they are. And let's face it, most of us get to a stage where we don't really love corporate anymore. And so the thing is that what I find is once women in particular, and I do work with men as well, but women in particular, when they go into business, they kind of hit these really unexpected obstacles. One being money, and just the fact that they now have to charge, they have to ask for money, they have to set their own prices, they have to organize and manage irregular cash flow as well. So, there's the two ends of the spectrum. There's the mindset, and then there's the, what do I actually do? How do I sort all this out? So this is where I talk about, the magical and the practical, like that intangible stuff and the highly practical stuff. And so that really becomes an obstacle often, or a big challenge that they don't really know how to approach, and that they often ignore for a really long time and suffer needlessly. And so, I wish there was like a business 101 that's like, these are the skills you actually need. This is who you need to become and the ways you need to grow so that you can become an effective leader of your business, because you're not just, stepping into a new job where someone else has all that stuff covered. You need to do it.
And that
Does
is
this ring true?
yes, I'm just going, I'm nodding along here going, yes, that was me. That is me. And I know that many of my listeners will feel the same as well. There are so many ways in which we block ourselves when it comes to being successful in business. And I'm just really looking forward to diving into this conversation today around those things. But you called me out in so many ways in that description just then. Quite funny. And I'm sure, like I said, that most of my listeners will feel the same as well. It's interesting that you say that it's a 101 skill and you wish that everyone knew about it before they started business. Oh my goodness, I would agree with that so much. I just think of all of the time that I wasted worrying about money, just thinking about how am I going to charge my clients? What am I going to charge my clients? All of those things. If I could take all of that back. So that's why I'm really excited that you're here today, Miriam, so you can help us with these 101 skills. Now, you talked in that little intro just then about alignment. And I think that I love align. I love this word because it can mean so much to so many different people and different things to different people as well. And I love the concept when it comes to content as well. So when people talk about alignment in other areas of business, I just really love that. So what does it mean to you? What does the word alignment mean to you? And what does it mean in the context of, let's say, business and money?
Okay. So alignment, it's interesting, right? Everybody uses the word. And then when you ask them to define it, they go, hang on a minute. So it is one of these intangibles. But for me, it's, when you're in alignment, it just feels right. Like you're showing up as who you truly are and you feel good about it. And what you're doing actually serves, I guess, your values at the deepest of levels. So when I start working with people, especially around designing kind of their business blueprint, we start with looking at their core values at the unconscious level, because often people don't even realize they're trying to build this business and trying to, serve in ways or offer service in ways that are actually not quite in alignment for them. And so then it's like driving with the brakes on. If you're wanting to create a business that allows you the freedom to come and go as you please and spend time with your kids, then having a diary booked full of client calls each week isn't going to do that. And then you might be left scratching your head wondering, why am I procrastinating? Why am I not following up? Well, because at the deeper level, you may not even realize that consciously you actually don't want the result. We want the money. We all want the money in the bank. But you may not be in alignment with what you believe it's going to take to make it happen.
Interesting. I love that definition. You mentioned there about looking at your values and doing values first. And I think that that's something that so many people need to do, Miriam. They kind of skip over that little bit and then business becomes really hard down the track, especially the decision-making side of things, because you're not quite sure what you stand for. And if you don't know what you stand for, you can't make those decisions. But the term that you used was looking at them at an unconscious level. Can you just explain what that means?
Mm-hmm. So I use the term core values, and what I actually mean are those things that light us up at the unconscious level that we may not even be aware of. Ooh. So, it's like, well, why do I love interacting with these types of people or showing up in this way? Or why is it this part of my life that I value and treasure so much? Or why is it that when I work in this manner, it just feels easy and in flow? And so looking at that, and this is, what I love about being a hypnotherapist, is I can help people connect with those things at that deeper level. They can go, oh, it's that sense of connection. That's one of my highest values. When I feel deeply connected, it lights me up and it fuels me. And then we're talking about coming from a place of inner inspiration and that inner, passion where you'll go and you don't care how much you're working or how much you're doing because you just love it, versus motivation where you kind of feel like you have to crack the whip on yourself because, oh, I better go do this because, I need to be successful in business. So when we tap into our core values, it just all feels right for us and we want to show up and we want to be there, and it fuels us and fills our cup rather than draining it. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100% it does. I love that perspective and that idea of something that motivates us or something that feels like it's really hard to do. Now, so it sounds like understanding your values on an unconscious level is a way to uncover that joy, uncover the way, uncover the systems, uncover the alignment that you feel in your business so everything flows really nicely. So when people are in that flow or have the
Mhm.
joy, what does that actually look like for them, or how do they get to that point? I think
What do you do next? Yeah,
yes,
I get
yes,
it.
yes.
Now what do I do? I know what I value. Now what do I do? Well, you have to look then at so it's really looking at your business through a whole different lens. So when I work with people, we start from the ground up, and core values is that foundation stone. And then we look at, well, how can we infuse those values? And I only worry about the top three because we have so many things we value. But if we can focus on the top three, and particularly that number one, that's really, if that's present, it just feels good and it feels right and we enjoy what we do. And it speaks to our true nature. If we can infuse that into every aspect of our business, the way we serve our clients, the way we market ourselves, the way we show up, the way we structure even just our work week and the things we're willing to do and not willing to do around it, it kind of creates this scaffolding. So I start with core values, and then we look at building this aligned business blueprint. And it's kind of like the scaffolding for the building that you're going to build. And sometimes, we get to a stage in business, and I have too, where I'm years into it and I go, oh crap, I've got to start all over again because I've built this Frankenstein following this coach, doing what that person told me, bright, shiny objects galore. And it's what everybody else says and thinks I should be doing. And I never actually sat down and consciously designed what's going to work for me, what's going to be highly effective, what's going to serve my clients best, and still protect my alignment and the lifestyle I want to lead. So I flip that, and we build that frame, like we define that framework. It starts with core values, and then what kind of life do you want? And then, okay, what pieces of the puzzle fit that? Because there's a million different marketing strategies out there. There's a million different ways you can serve people and generate income. They all work for the people who it's in alignment for and who have then the right marketing strategy to match it. So it's got to be matchy, 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 but you've got to start from the ground up.
Oh my goodness, I love everything about that, Miriam, because I'm so about that when it comes to content as well. I think that there is so much noise out there, like you said, and there's so many experts telling you should be doing things, and you could be doing those things, but only if it is aligned with your strengths, your time that you have available, your energy and your resources as well. So I love that idea of not just focusing on content from that perspective, but focusing on your entire business on this. So what I'm actually hearing, Miriam, is that when you understand your core values and you build this scaffold that you take people through, then you will have a business that serves you to your greatest joy. It feels easy, and it is designed in a way that meets your strengths as well. So I want to give a bit of a practical example here if I can. I love connection. For me, I just love connecting with people. I love the idea of community as well. So for me, having a membership is just a beautiful way for me to show up and serve because it feels easy, it feels joyous, and I really, really love it. Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're talking about in terms of building this scaffolding and then building a business that helps you bring more flow and joy into your life?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good example. And, yes, it's our offerings. It's also our marketing strategies and all the rest of it. But we do have to start with our offerings because it's like, well, what do I actually want to sell? How do I want to show up? How do I want to interact with people? And if that's not in alignment, like somebody who's a real, introvert or doesn't want that high level of commitment and accountability to a community, doesn't value the connection so much, they would feel trapped by having a membership. They might be more suited to maybe selling self-study courses or just having, a coaching program where they do a call a month or something like that. So you do have to be really honest with yourself and go, what's going to serve me? Because there are plenty of business models out there that will suit you, but you need to start with you and then pick the one that's actually a fit. Because if it's not, you're going just to be working against yourself the whole time.
Yeah. So I guess the message here is don't listen to the shoulds. Don't listen to those people that saying that you should be doing those things, because they don't necessarily understand your values, your experiences, your strengths, the way that you love to show up. So, and once you kind of realize that, then that whole business model and the systems that are around it make more sense. They become more aligned with who you are. I love that.
And yeah. And when you pick the one that really lights you up and that works for you, that's enough. You know, I just want to add that, because often people will listen to the shoulds and they'll go, oh, maybe I also need this. Oh, maybe I need that as well. Maybe I also need, you know, to do low ticket offers or this, that, the other. No, you don't. And when you're really clear on why you're doing what you're doing and why it serves you and you're excited about it, you can just focus all your energy into it and all the noise just drops away. And that's a really beautiful thing.
No, it is. So we've spoken a bit about alignment, Miriam. I'd love to kind of think about how that fits into the money and the mindset side of things. So mindset work is often associated with things like affirmations or perhaps even setting goals. But I know that you think it's much more than that. So perhaps can you unpack that for us?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people use mindset work as a bit of a band-aid, you know, approach, trying to just push through when things aren't working. They go, oh, it's not working, you know, it's not selling, or I'm not making the income. And so they go, oh, it's obviously me. I'm procrastinating. That's usually the answer, right? Oh, the problem is me. And it is, but maybe not in the way people think. And so then they'll go and they'll do the affirmations, or they'll do the goal setting, or they'll write their goals 1,000 times a day. And it's really just like trying to bully yourself through into doing something that's actually not in alignment for you. So how about reframing that and going, well, mindset work is actually about making sure that I get to show up as the best version of me, that I unpack what are those unconscious stories and that deeper programming I have, maybe around whether I'm good enough, whether I know enough, whether I'm deserving or not, actually that really deep level stuff, and making sure that I get to show up as the leader my business needs me to be, so I can then make the most effective decisions that are going to serve me, my clients, my family, and, you know, everybody else who's impacted. So it's really putting mindset first and not just glossing over the surface of it, rather than going, oh, it's not working, so I'm going to do my mindset work, you know, affirmations or things like that, to try and get through it and make myself do it. That's horrible.
I think that's really interesting. You use the term bully yourself into making, you know, it feel right or feel aligned. And I think that that's so true. We often think that, oh my goodness, I'm not making enough money in my business, so therefore I need to do something about it. Oh, it must be my mindset. So therefore I will do this thing and I will make myself do this thing, rather than coming from that perspective of what opportunities or for growth is there for me in this perspective, and how can I welcome change, welcome something bigger and better into my life in a way that feels, I don't know, like right. I keep using the word joyous. I love the word joyous because I feel like it makes me smile, and it just really reflects how you can feel when it comes to your business as well. So, okay, so thinking about mindset then, Miriam, what are some of the biggest blocks perhaps, and maybe I'm using the wrong term here now as well, maybe they're not actually blocks, maybe they are just, I don't know, maybe you can explain to us, but what are those things that you see that hold women in particular back from success financially, and how can we move past those?
Great question. $1 million question, literally. So it's really interesting because when I do the deeper mindset work with people, it pretty much always comes down to that early childhood programming or experiences. And it comes down to kind of the basics of feeling like you're good enough or you're deserving / worthy, right? So it's working on those things and actually reframing it all. So when we go from a boss situation where we're in a job and they decide our worth, it's easy. We just tend to accept it. And, there's a lot of statistics around women not asking for pay rises. We know about the gap and so on. And when you step into business and you have to determine your worth, and we literally say this, do you know what they're worth? So we kind of tie the money to our own inner sense of worthiness. So working on those deeper things really makes a big difference. But then it's also those reframes of, when you're in business, you need to stop thinking about hourly rates. When you're showing up for your job, fine, you might be paid by the hour. But when you're in business, you're providing an outcome, you're providing a result, you're solving a problem. And that's not the value of that's not determined by how many hours it took you to get that result. In fact, if you can get that result for clients faster, it's more valuable, right? So having these reframes is really critical, and just looking at, what's that actually about? So it's actually about us stepping up and owning our worth and owning our value, and knowing we do know enough. We've done enough freaking courses and certifications, and just being able to get on with it, that makes a huge difference. And just changing those old stories, around charging by the hour, like all those little reframes, they actually all link together. So yes, you can do those. I'm a big fan of hypnosis, and yes, you can absolutely go in at that deep level, but it's actually the everyday little reframes and the little strategies and habit changes that build up and compound and also help create a massive shift.
Wow. Okay. There's a lot to unpack there. And I just want to say to my listeners as well, I've just recorded a podcast about self-worth and charging what you are worth. Episodes 155, also 153 will help them as well. But I think that you really, once again, I'm just kind of lost for words, Miriam, because there are just so many things that reign true with what you've said, both from my own personal experience, as well as my own clients, members of my membership as well, and just women in general that I see. And that is that sense of not being worth enough to, be able to charge a certain amount, or not being able to or willing to put themselves out there and be visible so that they can become the expert that they actually are. So what's perhaps, and you mentioned hypnotherapy there as well, because I know that you're also trained in that. How do you walk your clients through those little reframes, or helping them make those little reframes? Because it's one thing, I think, knowing or hearing you say these things, but how do they actually do it? Like how do you step people through it?
What does it look like? So particularly, so let's just condense it down to money. I tend to help people I marry the magical with the practical. It's the short version of what I do, but I do it in three main areas. One huge one is money. The other one is their business strategy. The other one is their effectiveness, how effective they actually are and how they show up. So they're not spinning their wheels, wasting their time. So money is a huge one, because money is what everybody wants. And often people will come to me from a place of not earning enough, there's not enough, I'm not doing well enough. And so we actually go, well, that's the story you're telling yourself, but let's actually look for the evidence that that's not true. Because often we tell ourselves the story, and then that becomes the filter for our reality and how we observe it. So I literally have an exercise where I get people to constantly tally the evidence of abundance and money in their lives, because it's easy to go, oh, that doesn't count. Oh, I was expecting that anyway. Well, I signed that client up 3 months ago, right? And we discount it and we go, it doesn't count. And so we focus on all the things that we decide do count. So when you start actually constantly bringing it front of mind and you go, here it is, it's cold hard fact, your brain can't argue with it. And this is my bugbear with affirmations. Affirmations are usually telling yourself something you really don't believe. And a huge part of your brain's just yelling out, bullshit, right? So it's just this whole constant battle. But an affirmation, or even an evidence mantra, is actually reinforcing the thing just as it's happening while it's right in front of you. So actually creating new habits then reprograms your reticular activating system. And, we can go into the whole neuroscience part of it, but it actually reprograms you to then start noticing. And when you then pair that with the practical skills of managing your money better, so it doesn't feel like it's out of control, because we have irregular cash flow when we're business owners, small business owners. So having a system that smooths that helps us feel like we're in control and we know what's going on and helps us see that we're moving forward, it kind of helps you calm your farm. Your amygdala can just kind of settle, your frontal lobe can switch back on, and you can go, oh, actually, maybe I'm not doing as crappy as I've been telling myself. Maybe I can do this. And so that little, it sounds so simple and so obvious, but actually getting into the habit of doing it is something that I have to really coach people into in the beginning, because it's so counterintuitive to what they've trained themselves to do. But once you get into that habit, you actually have reprogrammed yourself to seeing all the things that are working and all the ways that they can work even better. And it just changes your whole outlook on life.
So what I'm hearing, Miriam, is to look for the evidence and continually look for the evidence. It's really interesting, isn't it? It's like when you look for something on the internet. Like, I have family members who are very different in views about a particular topic. And so whenever they go to the internet to search for something, they're always going to find and seek out that information which reaffirms their current opinion. Whereas I will do the same. If I go to the internet researching that same subject, I will seek out those things that reaffirm what I actually believe. So is that kind of what you're saying? That it's those things?
That is the best example. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I literally talk about this sometimes, where I go, it is exactly like the algorithms,
Yes.
the social media algorithms, where they will completely polarize people. And these people will swear black and blue, it's like this. And these people will swear black and blue, it's like that. And they both just keep getting fed the evidence that they're right and the others are wrong. And that's a really horrible thing that we could have a whole conversation about, because I think all these algorithms and social media algorithms in particular, they're really serving to polarize us and to kind of divide and conquer. And your reticular activating system, unfortunately, does the same thing, but you program it. You decide what you want to see. And so, you want to use that power for good, not evil.
I talk about using the power of content, using it for good or evil as well. So that's really funny. Yeah, it's your decision. It's your decision whether to use it for good or for evil, and whether it's going to be purposeful, intentional, and have the right impact that you want it to have as well. Very, very interesting. I'm going to pick up on something else that you said. You talk about the marrying of the magical and the practical. And we've kind of spoken about alignment. We've spoken about mindset, but I also know that you like to talk about systems as well. So what does that look like? What does the magical and the practical look like in terms of a system perspective in action?
Okay, let's talk money systems. So having a system to organize your money is going to ensure, people have perceptions of what systems means, first of all.
Okay,
so for a lot of so a lot of people think a system is something really restrictive. And when I say money system, they think budget. And that's really not where I'm coming from. So a system is a framework that you create to set the parameters and the boundaries and make sure that you're achieving the outcome you want to achieve. So the system actually protects you and helps you achieve your outcome without you constantly having to reinvent the wheel, right? And so that obviously applies to all sorts of systems. And so with a money system, for example, when I help people set up their money system, we do it through that lens of what's going to make you feel abundant, what's going to help foster an abundance mindset and help you, feel like you're really nailing this and that you're moving forward. It's not about putting you into a state of lack and deprivation and going, no, you're not allowed to spend. It's actually about giving you spending money and making you spend it and making you enjoy it and teaching you that that's okay, because your system has your back and the bills are being paid and your financial goals are also on their way to being ticked off. And so, the system can actually help foster, like, boost your mindset and your alignment, like raise your vibration and vice versa. So when you have a money system that naturally boosts your mindset and your vibration, you're going to want to use it more and you're going to enjoy using it. And when your vibration's higher, you're going to attract more money, and then your money system can do its work even more effectively and make lots of money babies for you. So they interconnect and they each actually support the other. And that's really important. And the same applies to, say, time management, effectiveness. So we need to have that system, that structure in place to protect our self-care time, protect our family time. And so I get people to kind of work out what their ideal work week looks like. And then it's like, okay, well, this is now the work time that you've left yourself. So then what are those systems and those habits that are going to help you be hyper effective and in flow, which is another word for alignment, when you're actually showing up to work? So it all works together, like separating the alignment and the mindset from the systems is really shortchanging yourself. In my world, it's like, why would anyone do that?
Oh, I have never heard of that perspective before. Usually people, when they come to money mindset, really do focus on the mindset side of things. But thank you, first of all, actually, for clarifying the definition of system, because system can mean different things to different people. But I love your definition of how it is a boundary, a safeguard for you. And it can really lead you down the path of exactly how you should be using your time, and the fact that if you have that system in place, then abundance will naturally become an outcome of that as well. You mentioned before that there was an interconnection between the money, the strategy, and the effectiveness. And I think that you've kind of really just rounded that out with that explanation as well about how the systems, who thought systems could be so amazing? Like, people think systems are boring, but they are just so magical.
Systems are sexy.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for this discussion today, Miriam. I think it's been an eye-opener, definitely for me as well, to look at money and approach business from a really different perspective, and one that does take into consideration those three things of money, strategy, and effectiveness. I love to round out each episode, Miriam, with an opportunity for my listeners for reflection. So do you have some questions that you could perhaps give them so that they could, I don't know, maybe feel more aligned so they can have more financial freedom in their business?
Okay. Yes, I do. So one question I think every small business owner should ask themselves is my actual business structure designed to support my alignment, being the things I love and the things that light me up, and my lifestyle? Because so many people set up a business structure that they then have to fight to try and still live the life they want to live. So business should support that.
Love that question.
Yep. The second question I have on my list is, this is a good one, bit of tough love. Am I the leader my business needs me to be? Because we want something from our business, right? But what our business needs is an effective leader who has clarity and can make good decisions, has the right habits, and a good CEO mindset. So are you the leader your business needs you to be? Bit of accountability. And the third one, really importantly, business is about generating profit and creating a certain level of financial stability, freedom, lifestyle for ourselves. So do I actually have a simple money system that I understand and that is sustainable and easy for me to use?
They are amazing questions. So the first one was, is my business structure designed to support my alignment and lifestyle? Am I the leader my business needs me to be? And do I have a simple money system that is easy to use and sustainable? Love those three questions. Thank you so much for sharing those, Miriam. Miriam, before we finish up, what are you excited about in the next couple of months?
Oh, lots of things. I'm excited about going back to Greece for 3 months for starters, because that is what I have designed my business to support. And I'm really excited about the fact that I've just launched basically a new program, which is all my VIP work together with all my magnetic money work. And it's just all in one place now. And I'm really excited watching everybody walk through that entire process and seeing them creating really aligned businesses that are, created from the ground up in a mindful, conscientious manner where they know what they're doing and why they're doing it, and they can just stop listening to all the noise out there. That's really exciting me at the moment.
I can tell, my goodness, I love it when people talk about things that really light them up. You can see the joy in their face. So I can tell that this is exciting for you. Well, thank you so much for your generosity and sharing your wisdom with my listeners today. It's been an absolute joy to have you on the podcast.
So joyful, Mel. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for listening. That's it for another week. To get more powerful content in your life, make sure you're following along on socials. My handle is @meldbusiness. And just in case you're wondering, the groovy music for this podcast was created by Just Here on SoundCloud. I'd also be super grateful if you took a moment to rate and review this podcast so more amazing women like you can experience the power of content. And if you're like, hell Mel, stop talking, I'm ready to work with you now, here's how we can work some powerful content magic together. Firstly, come and join the Content Effect, my membership inspiring women with service-based businesses to ditch the content chaos and start creating stand-out content that gets you noticed and makes sales. You can join us by using the link in the show notes or just Google the Content Effect. The second way we can work together is via my one-on-one packages. We can create a sustainable content strategy or start to build out your client journey. It's up to you. Hop on over to meldbusinessservices.com.au/services to find out more. Until next time, have a beautiful week and embrace the power of your content.